Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3's first 2 episodes are out in movie form across cinemas all over, except where I'm at. So, next best thing is to buy a ticket to the UK, get packed, get on the plane, and get out of here. Well, at least that was the idea. Up until literally a day before I went to buy my tickets, I saw that my local cinema is playing the Jujutsu Kaisen movie. Thank God, I will never return to the UK again. I was there last month or so for Comic-Con, and within 30 minutes of me being there, I lost my wallet. Now, skill issue on my part, but I don't want to see the UK ever again. Also, f*** Mons. He got to watch this movie 7 days before I did. With that being said, let's just get right into it. Now, this is actually a compilation movie. I have never been a fan of recap episodes, I don't think anyone is, so the idea of sitting through a recap of a show that I've already seen in worse condition because it's just going to cut up all the episodes, it made no sense. And look, if you want to know my thoughts on 1 and 2, I have put timestamps below. However, I do want to yap a little bit about the recap because this was so dog shit. Don't be mistaken. Like, if you can show up at the cinema like 20 minutes late if you're going to watch this movie, I don't even blame you. Like, that's probably the good way to do it. You know, take your time, stuff a bag with snacks or something, because this recap just sucks. It starts with Yuji clawing his hands on the pavement after Sukuna kills like a bajillion people, right? And then Specials starts playing, which is funny. But then it cuts back in time to episode, I think like 8 or 9, when Gojo enters the barrier into Shibuya, and then it cuts again to Gojo fighting Mahito and Choso, which is way into the fight with the disaster curses, but then it cuts back to him fighting Hanami, and then it cuts to him doing his domain expansion and then getting sealed. It's just like a jumbled mess, and it kind of does this all the time, which is really annoying. However, I will say there are certain scenes that I remember from season 2 that I really like, and watching it on the big screen, it was sort of a good experience. So, you know, it's worth it for those moments, if it just only had those moments, I guess. Like Gojo when he's telling Geto, or fake Geto, about how his soul knows otherwise. Like, that line delivered in the theater, I got chills. Like, that was really good. Same thing with Sukuna versus Maharaga for the 2 minutes that I got to see of it. Thankfully, they used the Blu-ray version, so there's no dimming, no ghosting, and also we get the, added scenes. But because of the way they kind of mixed the music, if you remember that one shot of Sukuna like pump faking Maharaga for the first time, when you watch the anime release, when Sukuna does his, when he swipes his hand down, you hear this little bell go ding, 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 and that just like adds so much to the moment. But in the movie, it gets, drowned out by the music. And so it kind of just does not have a lot of the impact. And they don't sit on that moment for long enough like they do in the actual home release. They just cut immediately to Maharaga getting wiped. And then they cut out the whole like pump fake sequence. It's really weird. It's just really bad. I don't like it. I do not like what they did with the Maharaga portion. Thankfully, the Nanami portion was good. Like the dream sequence with him in Malaysia. I think they did that one properly. The 120% Toto's entrance as well. Those were also done really good. I love the music choices. Like doing the entire last portion of the fight between Mahito, Yuji, and Toto with the ending song. It felt really fitting. And then you have also Yuta being his executioner. And then boom, we go into season 3. Now, season 3's opening is weird. The directorial style they went with, Shota Goshozono is my goat. I think Jujutsu Kaisen has never looked better. However, he has these like weird quirks in his directing that kind of make me wonder, are there scenes that are missing from this movie release that we will see in January? Or is this like some kind of directorial choice? I'll start with like the things that I think are fine, and then we'll move into sort of the weird stuff. The episode starts with Yuji washing his hands, and it's a very long shot. We're in a hallway, and we're looking through this door into the kitchen. And it's not a door. It's like one of those doors with like the string bead things. I don't know what it's called. I'll put it up on screen. But we're just like slowly zooming in. And all the while for like 15, 20 seconds, Yuji is just there like washing his hands, like his bloodstained hands. I think this is just meant to be entirely like not really happening. It's just a representation of Yuji's guilt over all the people that died in Shibuya. Again, the scene lingers for a long time, and then Yuji goes out into a different building. He's like eating a candy bar, which is kind of funny because it reminds me of Sukuna eating the popcorn. But then these curses like come flying in. There's this big curse that's fighting him, and all the while it's like a chase scene, and it's really good. Like the animation is really good. But at some point, Yuji gets grabbed by this big flying curse from the trailer, and he falls down. Like he gets out of its grip and is like running across buildings. This is where I'm talking about the cutting being weird. He's like jumping. He's not even jumping. He's running on top of this big building, And then the next shot, you don't even see him jump, but then the next shot, he's running on a lower building. So we completely skip over Yuji actually jumping down to that building, which was really weird. I did kind of skip over something like when Yuji's like walking around, you do see Yuta just like in the trailer, he's like stalking him basically. And then while Yuji's running, this curse just falls right down on top of him, the curse that was like carrying him earlier. And we're now in like the theater with Yuji holding a sword that's trying to stab him, and it's Yuta trying to stab him. But it was really, really weirdly done where Yuji gets a curse dropped on top of him, and then it cuts into him like being on the theater with Yuta on top of him. And then this scene just lasts for like 20 seconds. At first it's fine because it's like panning upwards to Yuta as Yuji's like holding the sword. It just lingers on the two of them on the stage for a long time. And then boom, the curse that was apparently on top of the building, the big one that was holding Yuji, it just explodes into purple blood that showers over them. And then boom, we get the title card for Culling Game. And then we go back in time to the Zenin household. So very, very strange decision. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm going to go rewatch it again on Saturday. So I'll probably have a different opinion. But for now, it just feels weird. The Zenin section is very, very interesting. Naoya gets introduced first, just like in the manga, and he is just as obnoxious and just as misogynistic. Actually, I don't know why I said just as. He is more misogynistic in this fucking movie. The funniest thing is, well, already Maki's mother is like walking behind him like 3 steps, and he does the whole a woman should, walk 3 steps behind a man, and if she doesn't, she should get stabbed in the back and die, quote. But what I find really funny is that when he goes to meet up with Junichi and Ogi, the mother, Maki's mother, is the one that opens the door for him to go inside, closes the door and all that. We get the moment where Naoya just like calls Junichi ugly basically, and Junichi goes for a punch, he misses because Naoya dodges it, and then that punch sends shockwave, like a big shockwave in the room, and like this light fixture is just like swinging around and around and around. Now here's like where I like the direction, because it's like this really narrow room and the light is swinging around and around and around, and so is the lighting on the characters. Like they're constantly moving, like the shadows are constantly dancing, and it feels really claustrophobic. It's like it is a small room already, but the way the camera is positioned, like you just feel very claustrophobic. I always like Goshozono's vision, especially when he's doing like these episode 1s. If you remember from season 2, the Meimei and Utahime episode, it was really, really, really well shot, and we see a lot of that kind of energy in this episode. Anyway, we find out that Megumi is now becoming the head of the Zenin clan after Naobito's death. Naoya's not happy, he's gonna go kill him. And then this is another moment of like, it's just so funny how misogynistic and how beneath him he views women. Naoya gets ready to go look for Yuji and Choso, and Maki's mother ties his fucking like sandals or shoes or whatever these things are called. It's just, this was not in the manga, but it is such a perfect addition. And Naoya, I fucking hate this guy, but he's already shaping up to be like a great antagonist for this season. He was in the manga, I think he's going to be doubly so in the anime, especially when you see how he's moving with his curse technique. So now we're back to Yuji and Choso, and we get the another really, really good, again, I'm going to be praising Shota Goshozono for the entirety of every review ever for this season, because this shot, we've seen it in the teasers, it's Yuji on top of the staircase with this big red stained glass behind him. Like the entire atmosphere of the room is red. It's a beautiful scene. And then we get this moment, which it's funny it happened twice, but there's this loop where Yuji is walking down the stairs, and as soon as he gets to like the bottom step of the frame, he just gets teleported back to the top. Like think Polnareff versus Dio from part 3. It's kind of the same thing, but in this case, it's meant to sort of represent, it's both like from a meta way to view it, like it keeps the conversation going without Yuji just sitting there the entire time. But from a sort of looking at a deeper point of view, it's just Yuji is unable to move on. Like he is struggling to kind of keep going with his guilt of all the people that died in Shibuya. I think it's really good. The red color, just dude, it pops. Like you guys, like go watch the movie. Like the colors that are in this, like it's not Don level where everything is just like baked in colors. It's much more reserved. But when they do use the colors, they do such a good job. And then we get the chase scene between Yuji and the curses, and this is like hardcore extended. There's a bunch of shots where Yuji kills curses and gets covered in their blood, and he's like all purple. And again, that's just Don kind of, but it looks really, really good. The animation, also the curses that are chasing Yuji, they get a bit of a buff. They're these rabid fucking dogs, bro. They're chasing Yuji on the bridge, and they're just like pushing each other. They're like knocking each other away to try to get on top of Yuji. It's not that the curses themselves are threatening. We won't really be seeing threatening curses for the majority of JJK from here, but the way in which it's shot, you know, it makes you think like curses are actually a big deal, which is kind of good, I think, because they do fall out of the limelight a lot in Jujutsu Kaisen. Anyway, we get piercing blood. It kills all the curses. It looks great. Choso gets jumped by a big curse with like 4 arms or whatever. Yuji one-shots it. He's demon god. And then one thing that's like really cool, while Yuji and Choso are talking to each other, or at least Choso's talking to Yuji, and on our bridge behind them, like Naoya just appears out of nowhere. No sound, no effects. You see the very little bit of his like curse technique, but that's it. And then for like a couple moments, he says nothing, and he's like, and then he starts talking, and then Yuji and Choso realize. And we get Naoya's entrance, where Choso bros, if you haven't seen it yet, I'm sorry, but your goat gets washed. Naoya goes in, blitzes them, beats Choso's ass, and then he, like, as he's beating Choso with one hand, like, he does some nasty shit to him, bro. He puts his foot on Choso's foot so Choso can't, like, backdash away. Starts punching him with his right hand, just like, punch, 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 punch. And then starts, like, putting his hair up with his left hand. Like, listen, I don't want to be that guy, but Naoya looked kind of cool, okay? He looked kind of cool. However, for as cool as he looked, there's a shot of Naoya talking. Or maybe it was Choso. Someone's talking. And then it's a shot of the street, though. It's like a shot of the city. And out of nowhere, it just, everything turns purple. Whoosh, it turns purple. And Naoya, Choso, Yuji, all of them are shitting themselves. And it's motherfucking Yuta. The music that they chose to play for Yuta's appearance, sublime, perfect pick. It is like, think about the music that plays when Sukuna's around, and it's like like it's that kind of creepy music. It's playing while Yuta's doing his entrance.
Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
I could not have picked a better song to play for that. Every moment with Yuta prior to episode 2, you just feel like this motherfucker is out to kill Yuji, bro. This is a evil dude looking to kill Yuji. One thing that I like is Naoya is trying to bullshit with Yuta. Like, hey, I'm with Maki. I'm just here to kill Sukuna's vessel, blah, 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 blah. But in the meantime, right behind him, like, Choso and Yuji are like talking like, dude, you gotta run. You gotta fuck off, bro. That guy's gonna kill you. I'll keep Blondie away, you know, whatever. And then, okay, this is another thing. Like, when we get to the point where Yuji's running away from Yuta and Yuta's trying to catch up, in the manga, there's a shot, you kind of see what Choso's going for. He goes for piercing blood. Naoya kicks his arm away, and then the piercing blood misses. In the anime, it just goes by way too quick, and you don't really see it. It's very, and they do this twice. There's 2 scenes that I can think of where this happens, where the cuts of animation are just too quick, and you don't really get to see what ends up happening. The end of episode 1 focuses entirely on Yuji versus Yuta, and this is another weird cut that they do. So in the manga, when Yuta fights Yuji, Yuji knocks a car into Yuta, tries to run into a building, and then Yuta throws that car back at Yuji, and it's like, oh, I don't look like I'm the strong type. I'm actually weak. I just overcompensate with my curse energy. Like, he does that whole spiel. In the anime, he does that, but he doesn't throw the car. We cut back to the theater, and that's where Yuta kind of gives his speech. Like, he knocks Yuji around a little bit. They're fighting in the theater. He's like trying to stab him. And it looks very reserved. I'll kind of mention this when I talk about episode 2. I think it's intentional. The fight scene, the sword fight scene, is weird. It's very much on model. It's not very expressive all the time. It's kind of slow even. It feels very much like if you've seen Chainsaw Man and you've seen Aki versus the Katana Devil. It's got that vibe to it where it seems like the animators were very focused and making everything look more realistic than anything. And I think that's fine for Chainsaw Man. If you've ever seen Samurai Champloo, I would have loved to have had this fight between Yuta and Yuji, the sword portion of it, look a lot like the way Jin versus the Hand of God was animated. I think that would have fit very well while still maintaining this sort of more realistic approach. Jujutsu Kaisen, I think, just looks really, really good when it's expressive. Some of you might like this fight. I thought it was good. I just thought there were aspects of it that felt a little weird, especially as we'll get into. Once they're out of the theater, Yuta does his whole spiel about Gojo, and he shows the difference between their cursed energy. Very much like Frieren versus Aura. It's very funny. I think there's a point where like almost looks like Yuji gets cut by nothing. And I don't know if the implication is that the discrepancy between cursed energy is so strong that it's like cutting into Yuji, or it's just like a thing that happens after, because Yuta punches him in the face, the shot before that. And then they do the car fight where Yuji picks up the knife and tries to fight back with. This is kind of maybe where they shifted the car throwing around, because Yuta cuts this car in half and then just like kicks it at Yuji. So there you go. If you really are missing your car throwing, I guess that's the best you're going to get. And then they do their fight. And this is where it happens really, really fast. Like you have this kind of short moment, well, this long moment, I should say, where Yuji is trying his best to remember Gojo's words about channeling curse energy into his weapon and not breaking it. They use this imagery of a flower pot almost ready to burst, but there's like a small hole. If it's not careful, it's just going to crack and blow up. And that's kind of Yuji trying to make sure to imbue this survival knife with as much curse energy as possible without it blowing up. And then boom, you just see it explode. You don't even see Yuta's sword. You just see Yuji's knife disintegrate. His stomach gets slashed. You don't see any sword. Then the next shot is like half a second, if that, of the sword on the ground. And then you see Yuji kick it again for like half a second. And then Rika shows up. It's very, very quick in parts that I feel would have been better to have linger. Like when I saw that in the manga for the first time, I felt that would be a moment where the anime would focus on that shot for a little longer than it actually ended up, which is a difference in views. I don't think it's bad necessarily. Yuta kills Yuji, and that's where episode 1 ends. On to... If you've seen the leaks, it's just as good as it looks, if not 10 times better, because you actually see things. It's not like dimmed, it's not ghosted. It's not dog shit camera quality. This fight is just, oh, chef's kiss. If Yuji versus Yuta was more reserved in terms of its animation, this fight is just the complete opposite. And maybe that's why they didn't want Yuji versus Yuta to be way too crazy, because then it would just be back-to-back fights where it's like, you don't even know what the fuck is going on, because everything is just blurry, people are turning into blobs, and it looks good. It maybe would just get a little tiring, and so you need kind of the visual distinction between the two. Maybe, I don't know, I'm not Shota Goshozono, but episode 2 was just, bro, this was insane. It was such a good fight. The colors, the animation, the voice acting, Choso, the way it's framed, like the camera work is just really, really good. Like Shota Goshozono knows how to direct. He knows how to create these intricate, these fun angles. Like nothing, there are no boring shots when you're watching like a project by Shota Goshozono. That is what I really, really like about him as a director. Like he takes even sort of what you'd expect standard stuff, like when Naoya and Choso are talking to each other. He kind of like tilts the camera a little bit. I don't know if maybe it's a Dutch angle, I don't know. But he tilts the camera, he puts it in a different spot. He has like something in the foreground to kind of create a distinction. There's different colors at play. Everything just looks really, really good in his hands. And the fight itself, man, just, you gotta go watch it. You gotta go watch it. I don't know what to say. You gotta go watch it. If you've seen the teaser, if you've seen the trailer, that one moment of Naoya going at Choso, just imagine that for the entirety of the fight. It is peak. It is perfection. And then when Choso beats Naoya and he's going there to finish him off. So I remember seeing a tweet. I'm not going to make a video about this. Don't worry. I don't get rage baited that easily. Okay. Where it's like, oh, they changed the way in which Yuta walks behind Choso. And it's like, bro, if you just look at the animation, if you look at how they did it in the anime, I do not give a fuck. Okay. Because Choso walks forward, right, towards Naoya. He puts his hand up. He's ready to kill him. And then you just hear footsteps in the water because it's like all the blood or whatever. Like, bloop, bloop, bloop. And then you see Yuta round the corner. Choso realizes, he turns around and then he gets his fucking head just, bah! Yuta smacks him in the face, and then Choso's like knocked out in one punch. And then as he's like looking over Naoya, and it's the whole, shall I heal you, blah, blah, blah. And it's just so good, bro. It's so, you gotta see it. You gotta see it, okay? You gotta see it. After that, we get the baby Yuji scene. First of all, I understand Jin. Mama Kenjaku was not this attractive in the fucking manga, okay? They made Mama Kenjaku a baddie, okay? I don't even know what they're gonna do for Nurse Kenjaku. I actually really like what they did with the Yuji scene, because it's kind of told from the POV of Yuji as the baby. You see him kind of open his eyes, like we are looking through his POV, and you know, it's his grandpa, it's his dad, and then Mama Jaku. But the reason I really like that is because it fits really well with what Jin is telling Wasuke, where he's like, babies remember more than you think. And then we're in the perspective of a baby remembering all of this stuff. It's just really, really good. It's like really, really creative. It's a small, like 30-second scene, but I think they did a good job. And then Yuji wakes up, and he does this a lot, dude. Goshozono, I think, just does this a lot, where the characters are just standing around a long time. If you remember season 2, the original release before they did the Blu-ray for the Maharaga versus Sukuna episode, there were a lot of repeating shots of Yuji's face and the destruction in Shibuya, because they just did not have the episode fully filled in. Like, they had all these different scenes that did not make it. That was kind of a way to fill the time slot and make it 20 minutes. In this one, it almost feels like that's kind of what's going on. I don't know, because there's this shot where Yuta is just like looking over Yuji, and he's just like staring at him for like 10 seconds. And then he like goes, oh, what a relief, blah, blah, blah. And Yuji's like looking all scared, which is hilarious. I mean, it's fitting, right? Because Yuta did kill him earlier. But yeah, it's just Yuta stands there for a while. He explains everything to him. And then Megumi shows up. And I gotta say, the campfire scene between Megumi and Yuji, really, really good. The voice actors did a phenomenal job. I think it was kept with no music. It was just completely only them talking. That's all you could hear, which was a really, really good decision. And then the crackle of the campfire as well. The colors were really good. If you've seen the trailer, that's basically how it is for the whole scene. And then there's this moment where like Megumi's talking to Yuji, and Yuji in his head is like also kind of having this monologue. It's really good. We also do see a bunch of the culling game players. We see, who do we see? We see Kashimo for a brief second. We see Higuruma for a brief second. I think we see the airplane lady. We see Tsumiki. And then we also see Uro and Reggie. We don't actually see Uro necessarily. And Ryu, we also see Ryu. Uro is like, you just see like her sky manipulation, which looks really cool in the anime. And then Yuji asks Megumi the question of, is Nobara alive? Which Megumi doesn't react. He doesn't say anything, but I like the way they did it where as soon as Yuji mentions the name Nobara, it doesn't focus on Megumi's face. Like the camera is shot behind, like more to the side. But as soon as Yuji mentions the Nobara, like you can see Megumi, he's animated to like tense up. It's like just a nice little animation detail, which is really funny because Yuji's like mini crashing out, like he's sad. His fist, like he's clutching it really, really hard. Props to whoever animated Yuji like clutching his fist because it just has an insane amount of detail and it looked really good, which is weird to say about some guy just clenching his fists. But it's funny because he's feeling all these sad feelings and then Choso just emerges from the darkness and is like, I know how to get to Tengen's barrier. And it's like, okay, bro, relax. And then they go back to Jujutsu High where we meet Yuki again. And we also see Maki with her new season 3 design, which, let me just say it, it's Maki's best look, okay? Maki has never looked better. Burn scars and all, okay? It's cute seeing Yuta kind of walk up to her immediately and be like, Maki, how are you feeling? And that's, you know, it's nice. And then we get my favorite, the cinema actually kind of started laughing at this scene. It's when everyone asks Yuji, like, who is this guy in regards to Choso? And then Yuji's like, for now, think of him as my big brother. And it just hard cuts to Choso, like being like, Yuji! Like, it was really, really funny. I thought it was great. And like, it got a bunch of laughs in the theater, so I thought it was a great scene. They go, you know, down towards Tengen's realm. We get this moment where Choso goes to the storehouse that's keeping all the death paintings around, and he's like saying like, oh, I'll come back for you one day. I thought that was pretty touching. And then they go down to the room where this happened. Which the blood, I've made this joke before, but the blood has not been cleaned up in 12 years. They go into Tengen's realm, the white space. They're like, oh, fuck, Tengen doesn't fucking want to fuck with us anymore. And then they're trying to get out of here. But then as they're leaving, Tengen just like flash steps behind them. Like the camera changes angle, like it changes the angle. And then boom, Tengen is behind Yuki and is like, oh, nice to meet you. Sukuna's vessel, Maki, Zeni, whatever, blah, blah. She says all the names. And as you might have guessed, or maybe you didn't guess, or you've heard this, Tengen is voiced by the same person that did the narration for season 2 and now season 3, which is very, very fitting given who Tengen is, right? And then the episode ends there and boom, the movie is over. No OP, no ED, just all that. And I gotta say, if this is the quality, if little side story actually first, the thing that got me to make videos, to actually like fully start making videos, well, for one, it's my friends telling me to make videos, but it was also episode 7 because of how good Mechamaru versus Mahito is. I think it's happened so far back now that people kind of forget about it. But if you go back and look at the animation quality, especially with the Blu-ray with no ghosting, dimming, whatever, it is just phenomenal. Like it is an insanely well animated episode. When I saw that for such a minor fight, I just knew that the rest of the season would be pure cinema. Season 3, with just its first 2 relatively minor fights, has blown season 2 out of the water, at least the first couple of its big fights, right? So I don't even know what they're going to do for, you know, the Maki versus Zenin clan stuff. I don't know what they're going to do for the culling game stuff. Like the culling game, actual culling game, Hikari Kashimo, Yuta Sendai, Megami Reggie, Yuji Higuruma. Like these are going to be so good. I am excited. I don't know why. I regret watching the movie because it's making me sad to realize that even though it's like only a month and a half until it starts airing, that's still a month and a half that I have to wait. So final verdict, should you go watch it? Yes, go watch it. It's really, really good. Shit recap, shit compilation. Go watch my season 2 compilation instead. It's way better. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.